Context. This review is for writing and drawing in a basic sketchbook. This is not for taking notes, calligraphy, and not for alcohol markers. I'm not an expert, but I am sort of experienced. It's worth listening to me if you don't sketch with pen or if you use cheap supplies that you found on the floor. Part 1. Ballpoint versus fountain pen. As you might know already, ballpoint pen is more transparent, and over time it gets less opaque. It's better at giving your drawings dimension and tone variety, and it can be used to do shading. Conversely, fountain pen is more opaque and cannot be used to do shading. It's better at doing some bold line art and like boxes if you're drawing comics. I have some comparison here of the same drawing with ballpoint pen and fountain pen, so you can see the strengths and weaknesses of each one. I've also tried using ballpoint pen and fountain pen in the same drawing, but it tends not to look very good. I would recommend having your own fountain pen purely for the fun factor. You're able to take it apart and put it back together. And this is the converter right here at the end. This is what you load up with ink, and it can be anything that's bottled. If you don't have this, you have to use cartridges, which, boo, no fun. And this is the nib. It uses capillary action to draw the ink out of the converter and onto the paper. Something like that. I'm a poor chemist. One of my favorite types of pens to use for sketching is also brush pen. This is a pen where you can control your line width, so you're able to do some less confident strokes using the tip of the pen as you're holding it vertically or perpendicularly to the paper, and then you can do your more confident outlines with a more thick stroke, which you make by tilting the pen at a narrower angle to the table. That way you have a variety of line widths, which also allows you to draw some pretty shapes, such as like the tips of hair as they get thinner. And you can also draw like thick eyeliner with thin eyelashes and that type of thing. You're able to take advantage of the dynamicness of ballpoint pen and the opacity and consistency of fountain pen by using a brush pen. The brush pen that I just showcased typically comes in a 2-pack. There's a blue one and a black one. I think that the blue one is much better because it's more flexible, therefore giving you a wider range of different line widths. The black version is similar, but it's a little tougher, so less range basically. Another interesting thing is Sharpie brush pens. I'm not exactly sure how long these have existed, but I've only started seeing them recently, for the first time in Michael's a couple of weeks ago. And they're pretty opaque, like Sharpie markers, and they have a pretty good range of line weight. So I think that they could be pretty good if put into the right hands. And I have yet to experiment with them, but I've been pretty much using them to fill in really dark areas, and they do well. Finally, we have the, I can't read Chinese yet. This pen, it's the last brush pen that I own. We're saving the best for last. It's pretty good. It has the widest range out of all the ones that I've shown you. It's also probably one of the easiest ones to use. It's really good for people who draw big because you can work on details and you can get those thick lines for your larger pieces. It's not the best for coloring in large spans of area because it doesn't have the largest ink capacity. I've used mine for only a couple of months and it's already like getting streaky and running out of ink. I would still recommend it, but you might want to buy multiple at a time if possible. Next, let's talk about fineliners. These are going to be your pens that are thinner than 0.1 millimeters. These are a must if you draw small, but don't overlook them if you draw large as well, because they're very good for focusing on small details without the stress of accidentally tilting your brush pen too much. Now that that's through, it's time for the part that I've been looking forward to. It's time to vent. So I went to Michael's a couple of weeks ago, which is when I discovered the tiny fineliner and the weird Sharpie brush pen. And well, on that same trip, I also decided to buy a calligraphy pen because, you know, we're experimenting. We like drawing in our sketchbook with various types of pens and markers. Let's try out the calligraphy pen and see how drawing with the calligraphy pen is. So I did. I even decided to try to write some calligraphy words because, yes, my penmanship is terrible, but it's interesting, it's new, it's fun. And then I used this pen for like a day, and then the next day it loses its like rectangular shape already, and it's round. Why is it round? What happened to it? Is it me? Am I stupid? Or is this marker just not meant to be used by anybody? It's so... Why make a pen that doesn't hold its shape for long? It's so annoying. Like, I spent all this extra money to get in a specialized pen, and it doesn't hold its shape. Now it's just a round Sharpie. Like, I could have gotten this for $1. Why did I spend so much money to get a calligraphy pen when I could have gotten a Sharpie? Next, let's talk colored pens. I have two sets. I have the, what are they called? Not the Miniso set. What's it called? It's Mini something. Mini. What's it called? Anyway, they're Japanese and they're colorful. And they are 0.5 millimeters. I also have the Stabilo .88 set of 30 pens. Both of these are fine. They do their jobs. I find that the Stabilos have a little bit more longevity and a little bit more like consistency. The other ones will be a little bit like streaky at times, even when their ink is totally full. However, they are very cute. um, the problem with the Stabilos for me is that there's too many in this set. There's not really an occasion to use all of those colors. And I used to use them as colored line art when I did traditional art with Copic markers a lot of the time, and that was very nice. It was good to have a set of liners that are pretty affordable. If you're very particular, it would be nice to maybe get a smaller number of Stabilos. I highly recommend the ultramarine one because most blue pens are like a dark navy, whereas Stabilos have an ultramarine that's it's very bright and saturated, and that's very pretty.
Hey
I've realized, MUJI pens feel really amazing to use for the first while the pigment is flowing really freely, but even when you get down to about halfway, it starts getting really thin and scratchy and unpleasant to use. They don't have that new pen feel. And that's why it's better to have a fountain pen, because the fountain pen will have the new pen feel pretty frequently because you have to constantly refill it. Like, let me show you the capacity in my fountain pen one more time. Oh, there it is. Okay. Unscrew it. Okay, here. It's this part. This part right here, that's all. That's all the ink that it can hold. So, every time I use up that tiny amount of ink, I have to refill my pen, and then it's that new pen feel again. With these MUJIs, not the case. Also, the felt tip pens deposit more pigment later on as well. It's just, overall, I think the MUJIs are not great. I wouldn't recommend them. They're really overpriced too, especially with, now that I've realized that people are selling them for extra on eBay. It's probably because they're in high demand. Because they're Japanese, and that's glamorous. Nobody wants to buy the fancy German Stabilos, because they're sold at like Walmart and stuff. And nobody likes the Germans. Hoping y'all fuck with how colorful and dynamic my sketchbook is. And that's thanks to the fact that I haven't been using alcohol markers anymore. I mean, I can draw on both sides of the sketchbook without all of these pages getting ruined by bleeding and ghosting. It's just nice. Don't use alcohol markers if you want to have a nice sketchbook. I've been using these. How much did I pay for them? That's a great question that I will not be answering. But any water-based pen, or sorry, marker will do. And this paper is pretty cheap too. This is like a $10 sketchbook. I just bought 2 more of these on the buy one, get one 50% off. It's a 25% off deal. I just realized that. Michaels thinks they're slick. Yeah, one of these. They're like, they have a bunch of pages. Like, let me check. These are the test pages. But before that, yeah, 179 like pages of normal sketchbook. Way more than like a proper art sketchbook. And I'm able to get like decent quality drawings in this pretty regularly without using any sort of fancy materials. And that's basically like the point of this video. I don't want people to, and I don't want myself to overspend on things that are not necessary. I just want like art to consistently feel good so that I'm consistently creating and consistently feeling like I'm making something that looks good. For me, pen sketches are not something that look and feel good. I meant pencil sketches do not feel good, but something like this, I drew these for Art Fight in 2024. I can crank them out in just a couple of hours, and it feels good. It feels productive. These are also Art Fight, and this is Art Fight. Yeah.